Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here and tuning in, sharing your time with me today. My name is Anna Hendricks. I am a spiritual guide, Akashic Soul channel, teacher, and host of the Soul Driven podcast. If you are tuning in from YouTube, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm kind of popping up in new places these days, and it has been so much fun to do so, to get to know more of you in new and different ways. So if you're tuning in on the podcast, you can come hang out with me on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube and you'd love to tune in with the audio version, then you can find the Soul Driven podcast wherever you listen in. So today we are diving into 3 benefits of reading the Akashic Records in these times. I have been working with the Akashic Records since the beginning of 2020, and they have changed my life in insurmountable ways. If you know anything about me and my work, then you know I believe that the Akashic Records are the greatest tool for self-empowerment, period. And because we are going through such a time of transformation on the planet right now more than ever, the Akashic Records are a tool that I highly recommend having in your back pocket so that you can understand how to navigate these times to the best of your ability. If you would like to learn more about the Akashic Records and my connection with the Akashic Records, you can tune in to episodes 168 to 172. It's an Akashic Record mini series, and you can learn all about them and kind of dive deep. And in addition to my relationship with the Akashic Records. And I also have a video here on YouTube that shares more about my relationship with the Akashic Records, and I will share that link below. So, what is most important to understand first and foremost before we dive into this conversation is that everyone can access the Akashic Records. Everyone. I often hear from folks who tell me like, oh, Anna, the Akashic Records won't allow me in. I'm not able to access the Akashic Records. This is untrue. Unfortunately, we get in our own way sometimes. Especially when working with the spiritual world, we have an idea about how something should be, how it's going to show up for us, what it's going to look like, all the things. And this is a part of a much bigger conversation. But what I want you to know is that right now, in these modern times, the Akashic Records are available to everyone. That wasn't always the case. Here on Earth, there were thousands, millions of years when there were a select few people who could access the Akashic Records. Because when you consider what the Akashic Records are, you might consider why their accessibility being in the wrong hands could be a very negative thing for the planet. So if you're brand new to the Akashic Records, the easiest way to think about the Akashic Records is to think about the Google Cloud, the Apple Cloud, right? Like we don't know what these things are. We haven't really seen them, but we know that, we can go to them and we can pull out photos or videos or documents that we need. And it's very similar within the Akashic Records. The Akasha exists in a different vibration, in such a high vibration that it's actually a different dimension, yet it exists around us at all times. When you access this dimension, you can access information past, present, future. And so again, you might be able to understand like why this wouldn't be such a great thing, because unfortunately, not everyone's intentions with this type of information is good, as we have seen by looking at our history with religious leaders, organizations, and whatnot, right? Unfortunately, usually people take advantage of other people when they say, I've got the information. But all to say that in this modern time, the Akashic Records are available for everyone, especially those of you who have a pure heart to seek, to learn, to be curious, to know more. Or if you just feel like, oh my gosh, I need help, Anna, then guess what? The Akashic Records are such an incredible tool. And again, one of the many reasons why I consider them to be the greatest tool for self-empowerment. So before we kind of dive into the 3 benefits of reading the Akashic Records in these times, I want to invite you to come and attend my Access the Akashic Records workshop. I will be hosting this on April 23rd, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a beautiful way to begin your journey with the Akashic Records. I'll be taking you through a channeled Akashic initiation, teaching you so much about the Akashic Records, and then taking you into the Akashic Records for the first time. It is such a beautiful experience, and I highly recommend it. The second thing that I'm doing this month is I am hosting an Akashic Guidance Circle on the 28th of April. So if you are in need of guidance, if you would like some Akashic assistance in your life, or just really curious to experience this for yourself, come join, grab a seat. There's limited, I think there's only 5 left, and I will channel for you personally. Links will be below or in the show notes. All right, so let's dive in because I am excited. First and foremost, the first benefit that you will receive by learning how or reading the Akashic Records in these times is a higher perspective. Now, you might be thinking like, well, yeah, that's kind of great, but how does that actually benefit me? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you that I have been healed in so many different ways by working in the Akashic Records, simply just by being in the Akashic energy so often. And the higher perspective is one of my favorites because it allows me to navigate any situation from a completely different place, perhaps a more objective place, perhaps a more empowered place, but nonetheless a different perspective. And when we can shift our perspective of any situation, we can shift our reality. You know what I'm saying? So seeing things from an Akashic perspective is powerful. It is truly a gift. It's healing, it's life-changing. And as we look out at the world right now, there are so many difficult things. You know, you may be wondering, like, why is it that 45 got into office? Why is it that we're in a war with Iran right now? Why is it that Israel and Ukraine, like Israel, oh my gosh, and Palestine are at war? Like, all of these different things, you may really be a curious soul like I am and want to understand things. Or you may just be like feeling that the world is terrible. It's awful. You don't like it. You don't want to be here. And all those things are valid. But guess what? When you look at what's taking place through the lens of the Akashic Records, it will shift your experience of everything that's taking place. And this doesn't just have to be like world events, right? This can also be within your own life. Because guess what? Like, let's say you're in a difficult relationship or you have like a really hard relationship with one of your parents, one of your siblings, your partner. When you look at it through the lens of the Akashic Records, it will shift everything for you. You will come to understand that even the most horrific things on this planet are serving a purpose. In fact, there is benefit behind them for those that are involved. And imagine how powerful it would be to be able to see it. Some of the things that I've experienced in my client sessions are like, I remember one woman who lost her father when she was very young. And this is a heartbreak that she's carried with her entire life. She felt abandoned. She felt like her father left her and she didn't understand why. And I was able to see that her and her father are part of the same soul family. And that the biggest reason that he left at a very early age was so that she would step into her own empowerment in this lifetime. Because if he would have stayed, then she would have leaned on him too much. She would have looked to him for validation, for love, instead of creating those things for herself. I have seen where abusive relationships are again about empowering someone to step into a completely new iteration with themselves. You know, when we consider what takes place in humanity, the ugly, awful sides of humanity, you know, we place judgment on them. We say, this is terrible, this is bad, right? And those things may be true. And there always is a much higher purpose to what is taking place. But it's very difficult for us to see that while we are in our human self. So when we look at it through the eyes of the Akashic Records, it can completely shift everything because your mind right now, your perception is what is shaping your everyday experience. And if you can shift that, then you can shift everything around you. And of course, the work that I am doing in these times through the Akashic Records, in my podcast, whether they're my solo podcast or my soul politics series, in my email newsletters, like I am continually bringing a new perspective to what is taking place right now to guide and assist those who choose to follow my work, because I want to give them the opportunity to not get lost in the darkness that is very apparent on the planet right now, but again, to see things from a different perspective. So if you learn how to read the Akashic Records, or if you begin really spending time in the Akasha, then guess what? Your perspective is going to change, and it's going to be incredible, because not only will it change your perspective, but it's a perspective that you can begin bringing out to your community, your friends, your family, and sharing that with them. And it has this beautiful little like trickle effect, right? It's like you throw something in a pond and it just grows and grows. I'm going to put down I always hold something usually in my hand because I get nervous to speak in front of video. A little bit of Anna. She's a little awkward. She's a little weird. She's a lot of fun though, but yeah, she gets nervous. Anyway, the second benefit for reading the Akashic Records right now is love. Okay. And there's a lot of ideas out there about what love is and how love shows up in our life. And, I got to tell you, unfortunately, the majority of it, it's this like lovey-dovey, fairy, like, cute, sweet type of love. And guess what? I love that kind of love too, right? I have a beautiful relationship with my partner. We can't get enough of each other. So I love that type of love. But love is also setting boundaries. Love is also like loving yourself to the point where you don't allow things in your life that don't serve you. That is the more kind of like intense aspect of love that we don't talk about enough. Thankfully, more of these things are coming to the surface in these times, right? But love is so powerful. In fact, love conquers all. Whether you have ever read that in the Bible or not, it is true. There is nothing greater than love, right? The Akashic Records exist in the frequency of love. Love is God energy. God is love. And I am, of course, not talking about religion whatsoever. But because the Akashic Records exist in the frequency of love, when you work in the Akashic Records, you begin to just completely absorb into that frequency of love. Like it changes you on a cellular level. I have changed so much since I began working with the Akashic Records. It's wild and beautiful. And I've been healed so much and healed in ways that I never even intended. It's not like I like tried to go into the Akasha to heal these things. It's simply by being in the energy of the Akashic Records. And we need that in this time. We need it so much because, life is getting heavier. It's getting darker. It's getting more real. And in that realness, we have all of this opportunity to get lost, to get caught up in fear, to believe that humanity is just awful, to just think the worst of ourselves, to think like the world is ending, but it's not, right? The Akasha is nourishment for our souls because it reminds us of who we are. And I don't care what awful, terrible person that you may think of on this planet, they are pure at a soul level, just like you are. We are all the same. And that can be really hard to hear sometimes because you're like, wait a minute, I'm not like this person. I'm not like this person. But we are all here to learn different things, to walk a different path. And we are on different places with our own spiritual journey. And that's why focusing on ourselves and really taking care of ourselves first and foremost is so important, because that's when we can be our best self and our most effective, right? We are seeing evil so clearly on the planet right now because love is showing up more, right? You look out, I mean, here within the United States, ICE is terrorizing people, and yet communities are coming together. Different people are coming together to support each other. We are awakening in our consciousness in a surreal way right now because of the darkness, because of the evil, because of these things. And we're seeing it so clearly because there's more and more love. But if you're having a really difficult time, then guess what? Working in the Akasha, again, not only because of the frequency of it, not only because of what the Akasha is, but also remember that different perspective, right? And again, love conquers all. So with everything breaking up around us, right, with so much war, all these things going on, it's very easy to get caught up in that. And I am the same. Sometimes I get really down and I don't want to get out of bed. But I have to tell you, if it weren't for my work in the Akashic Records, if it weren't for the perspective that I have been given through the Akashic Records, I probably would be in bed all day because I am deeply connected to the collective and I feel it in my bones when we are unkind to each other, when humanity is fractured and broken, and it's really hard sometimes. And so the Akashic Records are a refuge for me, right? We've forgotten like the essence of who we are, and the Akasha will remind you of that we are all love, right? um Love can change us through these times in such huge ways and really enable us to not only change our own experience, because guess what? These times are just getting ramped up. We got a couple more years to go. And we're definitely, it's been so interesting to navigate, especially, since 2026 kicked off, because it's like the macro is reflecting the micro. And in my own personal life, as things are falling apart in the exterior world, so have things been falling apart in my own world. And just like it is on the macro, where it's like all these awful things are happening, but then also there's some really beautiful things happening, right? Like, again, community coming together, people supporting each other, people talking to their neighbor again, people talking, like sharing information and like sharing resources. This is only going to intensify because we're meant to come back together, right? But that's also been happening in my own personal life, as so many things have been shifting and changing and breaking because they must, because like, I'm stepping into a completely new iteration with my work. There has still been so many beautiful things coming up at the same time. And I bet the same thing has been happening in your own life, right? Love is so beautiful, right? And if you are getting lost or caught up or full of fear with everything that is happening in our exterior world, you can always come to the Akasha. I teach my students that one of the ways in which you can enjoy the Akashic Records is simply by opening them up and sitting in that energy and taking it in. Because sometimes that's all we can do. Sometimes we're so heartbroken, we're so angry, we're so hopeless, we're so like just forget it all, that all we can do is open up the Akashic Records and just be in that energy. But guess what? Because the energy is the frequency of love, it will shift us, it will change us. And isn't that beautiful? The last but not least reason, benefit of reading the Akashic Records in these times is guidance. And when I say guidance, I don't mean like your best friend. I don't mean your tarot cards, which I love tarot. There is absolutely a place for tarot, but understand that tarot, ascended guides, angels, all of these folks, they are receiving information from the Akashic Records, right? They're kind of like the middlemen to the Akashic Records. And I don't know about you, but I like going to the top dog. I don't like spending my time kind of like flushing through things, but there's still a beautiful place. I work with my friends who are psychic mediums. I love tarot. Like I love all of these modalities, but the Akashic Records are the highest of high. They are the end all be all for me. And especially when I'm going through difficult things, the Akashic Records is like the number one place that I go because I know that the guidance that comes from the Akashic Records is objective, it is full of love, and it is, it comes without any kind of like requirements. The beautiful thing about the Akashic Records is they will not tell you what to do. They will provide you information. They will give you all kinds of context to what it is that's going on in your life, but then they hand it back to you to make your own decision. And that is one of the reasons why I consider them to be the greatest tool for self-empowerment, is because they aren't here to run your life for you. They understand free will and they want you to use it. They understand that you are the creator of your life and they want to empower you to take action in that. Okay. So they just provide information, they provide guidance, but that guidance is, it is the best there is. And this is guidance through these times. It can be with your business, it can be in your personal life, your relationships, your health, your whatever. Okay. Remember, within the Akasha exists all things, past, present, future, which is pretty insane to think about. But if you are a big curious nerd like I am, then that probably excites you. I'm a first line in human design. And when I go in, I go in. I want to know, and I want to know it from different angles. I want to see it. I want to see it from all the places. And that is one of the reasons why I love the Akashic Records so much, right? So, but right now, let me bring this back to present day, right? There is so much noise on the internet, from friends, from news, from freaking every direction, all kinds of opinions about what you should be doing and how you should be preparing and blah, 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 blah. Guess what? Your own internal guidance is the only one that you're meant to be listening to. And you will find that in the Akashic Records. If you are freaked out about the collapse that is going to take place within the US economy, that's okay. Go inside, talk to your Akashic guides, see what they suggest for you. Maybe for you, it's important for you to stock up on water. Maybe you don't need to stock up on water. Maybe it's important for you to cut back spending in certain areas of your life. Maybe it's important for you to invest in certain areas in your life. My whole point being, you are uniquely you. Your situation is unique to you. And all of that noise and all of those opinions outside of you are probably just increasing your anxiety, your fear, making you question yourself, making you question what's going on right now. And so what if you could just bring it in and just have it focused solely on you and what is most important for you to know? Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that be lighter? I mean, hello. I haven't ever really been someone that takes in all the advice and noise and sounds around me. I follow my intuition. My intuition knows what is right for me. And I have the Akashic Records. And I love having the Akashic Records in these times because it's really like, back when we were going through the pandemic and the vaccines were coming, into play. And I am not someone, I've had all the required vaccines, but I don't get sick. I don't get flu vaccines. I don't do these types of things. And for a while, I wasn't sure about what I wanted to do with the vaccine or what felt right for me, And I actually did a lot of readings about the vaccines through the eyes of the Akashic Records. Those also have been shared on the podcast. You can go dig those up. They're very interesting readings. And I had a lot of people coming to me actually for readings about whether or not they should get the COVID vaccine. And guess what? It's different for all of us, right? But the point being is that I was able to receive the guidance that was best for me in that scenario. And I was able to provide the guidance that was best for other people who came to me looking for that advice. And it wasn't the same across the board. Okay. I'll just say that. And that's why it's so important for you to be able to have access to the guidance that is yours, that is most aligned with you, so that you don't get caught up in all the rhetoric, so that you don't waste your time and your energy reading all these articles and doing all this research and blah, blah, freaking blah. You can do that if you want to. But guess what? Something may be for you that isn't for everyone else, and vice versa. And in the Akashic Records, you can find that out for yourself, right? The Akashic Records are the ultimate guidance for you personally. And no matter what you are going through in your life, ever, the Akashic Records will guide you into what is best for you. Okay. Always, always, always. It's not that they'll always give you the answer. It's that they will make it easier for you to decide for yourself, right? And just for instance, I often do readings for folks about relationships, right? People come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm in this marriage. Things are really difficult. What do I do? And, I can only look at the relationship from the eyes of that person's Akashic records because I'm in their Akashic records. But still, the Akasha they will build out a whole storyline of, who these people are. Maybe they've traveled in many lifetimes together. Maybe their souls are a part of the same soul family. They'll talk about like what they're here to do with their soul contracts, what they're teaching each other, the benefits, the challenges, but then they hand it back to the person to make a decision on their own. Because again, the Akasha is not here to decide for us. And let me tell you, if you go into the Akashic records and they're telling you what to do, you are not in the true Akashic records. There is an Akashic records that exists within the astral realm that unfortunately a lot of people are accessing because they don't fully understand how to access the Akashic records. So please be mindful. But if you ever find yourself in that space, understand you are not, because the frequency of love, which is where the Akasha exists, is not going to say, you need to do this, you should do this. It's not going to put urgency behind it. It's not going to make you feel any kind of way. It's going to be open and expansive. And it's going to be like, here's some information for you. Now you can make a decision for yourself. The Akasha is here for us in the best of times and in the worst of times, and it is completely accessible to you. So once again, if you would love to learn how to read the Akashic Records, come join Access the Akashic Records, my workshop on the 23rd. You don't have to attend live. I will send out the replay, but I highly recommend attending live because it's going to be so much fun. And that way you can easily ask me questions, but of course you can always reach out to me here too. I'm here to support you. And I want more Akashic readers out in the world because we need them. We need them. So once again, thank you so much for being here, sharing your time with me. Please share this with someone who can benefit from it. I am sending you so much love for these times. Don't forget, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. Until next time.